Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Back in 2016, I'm pretty sure if you knew what you knew now about Bitcoin and what it's done regarding price, you'd be throwing every dollar you had into it back then. Well, there's opportunities at any given moment, and there's a huge opportunity right now in the carbon credit market. We're going to have a quick overview of what are carbon credits and why they're so important and why they're in such high demand right now, never mind in the coming decades. And this sector is set to be bigger than crypto, bigger than most markets out there. The demand for these things is just off the scale, and the supply cannot keep up with demand. So stay tuned, because this could literally make you a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire, if you play your cards right in this market. Now, for those of you that haven't heard of carbon credits before, I'll just briefly explain what exactly they are. One carbon credit simply represents 1 ton of CO2 which has been taken out of the atmosphere in some way. Now, you can't just pull these carbon credits out of thin air and sell them, unfortunately. You have to do something in order to be issued carbon credits. For example, you may go and plant a forest and you'll be issued X amount of carbon credits, because trees take away CO2 out of the atmosphere, and that can be measured. And the people that issue you the carbon credits are, there's different companies, especially in different countries. And one thing you need to realise is, one carbon credit that one company issues, it doesn't have the same value as what another company may issue you. And there's also different types of carbon credits as well. And I won't go into it too deep on this specific video, because if I was going to go into all the nitty gritty, it'd literally be an hour long, and I don't think most people would sit and watch it for that long. I just want to give you a good overview of this whole industry. And the reason why these carbon credits are important is because certain industries and companies which are very energy intensive, let's say like miners, manufacturers, they just simply don't have all the capital in order to, go green or to offset all their carbon emissions. So what happens is they have to buy these credits from someone else in order to offset their own emissions. That way they're still hitting the ESG goals. And the reason it's important for them to hit their ESG goals is a lot of bankers will no longer fund companies which aren't hitting these ESG goals. These are all the parameters, so these companies literally have no choice but to buy these credits. It's an extra expense for them, which they're going to pass on to everyone else. However, if you're aware of all this, there's a massive opportunity here. Now, there's a few ways you can make your money here. If you're more inclined to trading, then you can actually go onto carbon credits exchanges and buy, sell and hold some of these carbon credits themselves. Obviously, there's also opportunities in actually creating the carbon credits. If you could go out there and raise capital and create a project from scratch which produces these carbon credits, well, you can then go and sell them on the open market. Obviously, the main thing you need to make sure you're doing is make sure whoever's issuing those carbon credits, make sure they're respected. You'd have to do a lot of due diligence just to make sure they're not phony, but it's quite easy to find out now which ones are good and which ones are not. I don't want to say any names because, to be quite frank, this is fairly new to me and I'm not sure myself. I've not done enough research in order to say, yeah, this one's good for this country, and I'm guessing people are watching this worldwide anyway, so there's different issuers for different countries anyway. But a great website to go to is right here, carboncredits.com. And I do apologise if there's a bit of background noise here, guys. It's we've got a storm here in the UK at the time of recording, and it's just battering my conservatory, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, carboncredits.com, this is a great website for information. I do recommend you do a lot of research on this if it sounds like something you want to get into. It's something I'm definitely getting into. Now, I don't like futures and ETFs generally speaking, but I don't mind ETFs which hold not so much futures, but which hold a relatively small amount of companies. That way I can actually keep track of what's going on in that ETF a lot better than what I could if it holds, over 100 or more. That's quite a difficult thing for me to follow, and it's quite a difficult thing for them to follow as well. So that's why I don't like it. A lot of ETFs are derivatives, which I'm not a fan of. But what I am a fan of is royalty streaming companies. I'm a big fan of royalty streaming companies, and it's something that I'm looking at into getting into here. And look, remember guys, I'm not a financial advisor, so any decisions you make are yours and yours alone. I'm not responsible for any losses that you do yourself. But as you can see, look at the futures market here on this one here. Look where it was last year in July of 2020. $27 or euros is that, and it's way up to 85 now. And the thing is, guys, the demand for these things is just going to keep going and going. These companies, they still need to hit these ESG targets, and the only way for them to do that is to buy these credits. And like I say, the supply of carbon credits right now isn't even filling 5% of the market's demand. That's how much of a opportunity this is right now. This is very early doors, and there's no doubt this market will become a multi-trillion-dollar market in years to come. And how I got put onto this was a guy called Marian Katuza, and he is someone who's looking into this quite a lot. He's a very well-known commodities guy. He was involved with various mines, and he's just big in the resources industry. But the one thing that I'm personally looking to invest in this market is not so much the futures or the carbon credits themselves, and I'm not saying that you can't make a lot of money with those, because you certainly can. Look at some of these charts there. That looks like a crypto chart, right? But anyway, sorry, back to what I'm saying. What I'm looking at investing in myself is some of these streaming companies. Now, these streaming companies, from my understanding, is they work the same as what a mining royalty company would work. And if you don't know what a royalty company does, it essentially gives miners a little bit of capital up front. Let's say in the mining sector, it gives them a little bit of capital up front, and it then claims a royalty on all their turnover, not the profits, the turnover. So if a royalty company puts X amount of million into a small miner, and that miner's a success, well then, if it's pulling out 100,000 ounces of gold, let's say, in a year, well, that royalty company is entitled to 3% of the turnover from that gold. So it doesn't matter if the profit gets really tight on the mining company or what other issues they're faced with. The royalty company is entitled to a certain percentage of the full turnover, and that's the beauty of all royalty companies and royalty streaming companies. The incredibly low cost in terms of operating. They're literally most of the time just operated with 50 people or less, depending on the size of them, obviously, and they're just literally operating out of an office. So they literally just put their money into projects, and they've got a royalty on that project for life, or even the mining company for life. And how this will work with carbon credits is just exactly the same. They may even create the carbon credits themselves, or they'll put some upfront capital into people that are doing these carbon credit projects, forest projects, as well as cleaning up air projects. There's a lot of sea projects as well, protecting the mangroves, because apparently trees in mangroves, a mangrove is underwater forest, for those that don't know. It takes out a lot more CO2 than what trees on land do. And these royalty streaming companies, I'm not recommending any of these right here because I've not looked into them yet, to be honest. I might give a breakdown of a few once I do check them out. This is just fairly new to me. I was aware of this market a few months ago, but I've only just decided to give it some effort, give it some thought, and I think it's well worth recommending to you guys to check it out, because there'll be a lot of money to be made in these. Never mind what you can make on stock growth, but in the dividends that those royalty streaming companies will pay. I think if the stock growth goes quite well over the next few years, which it's certainly planned to, obviously I can't speak for any individual that's on screen right now because I don't know anything about them, to be honest. But you could well be getting your initial investment back in dividends in literally a few short years. Like I say, Marion Katusa says that this market is growing 60% every single year. And he predicts by 2030 the whole market would have grown 15-fold, and by 2050 it'll be 100-fold from where it is today. And that's just insane to think how big it'll be. It's obviously going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So guys, definitely give it a look into, because this could make you very rich, especially if you have the know-how into creating one of these companies yourselves, not a royalty company, but one who's going to create carbon credits. If you can gain funding and, you know, set up a project which can take X amount of carbon out of the air, obviously you'd have to run all your calculations how much it's going to cost. You'd have to talk to a carbon credit issuer and make sure that issuer as well has a good value for their carbon credits which they'll be issuing to you. So please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Make sure you share it with all your friends who may be looking at other investments right now thinking, damn, I feel like I've missed a boat with Bitcoin. Well, you don't have to miss a boat with this at all, because this is early days stuff. And don't be so short-minded in like a trader sense, unless that is your thing. And be thinking short-term, like I want it to blow up in a month or 2 times. Think long-term as well. This could be a great play. So give it some thought, guys. Check it out. Go to this website, Carbon Credits. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already, because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this. Check out my other videos as well. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.